Live look now from the 9/11 Memorial in New York City. The focal point of the memorial, twin reflecting pools that sit in the footprints of the former North and South towers of the World Trade Center.
That memorial opened back on September 11th of 2011, 10 years after the 9/11 attacks, and later this morning families will read the names of those who were killed. And now live at the Pentagon, where a ceremony honoring the 9/11 victims there is underway. Events began at sunrise with a flag unfurling on the west side of the Pentagon. President Biden and Vice President Harris there are expected to visit the 9/11 Memorial at the Pentagon today. And a ceremony also being held in Shanksville, Pennsylvania this morning. The site marking the place where Flight 93 crashed after passengers and crew fought back against hijackers on September 11th. President Biden, Vice President Harris, and former President Trump all expected to visit that memorial today as well.
18 victims of the 9/11 attacks were residents of Bucks County. A ceremony remembering them will be held this morning at the Garden of Reflection in Yardley. In CBS News Philadelphia and Pennsauken last night, where first responders, residents, and local officials came together to place thousands of American flags around the township's 9/11 memorial. The flags honor those who lost their lives in the attacks. Special ceremony is also happening in Philadelphia later this morning to honor those lost in the terror attacks.
And CBS News Philadelphia's Ross DeMattei is live at the Fireman's Hall Museum. That's in Old City to tell us more about it, and also a look at a special memorial for the victims there. Ross, good morning.
Good morning to you, Janelle and Jim. It's kind of crazy to think that 9/11 was 23 years ago today. Of course, all of us who are alive remember exactly where we were and the events of that day. But then you think about there are kids and some young people who weren't even alive. And that's why it's so important to remember this day and honor the lives lost. Joining me live, we have a special guest this morning. We have Brian Anderson, firefighter himself, and also the museum curator here in Old City. So just the perfect person to talk to. Brian, we're standing next to this incredibly powerful exhibit here that you guys have for 9/11. Of course, the first thing that stands out are some of the images from that day, the first responders who put their lives on the line to try and save others. But then there's also certain artifacts from some of the attacks from that day. Walk us through and our viewers through what we're looking at here.
Right, so we have some ground zero debris as well as apparatus parts that were damaged on that day. We have all of the pictures of the 343 firefighters that were killed on the line of duty, and different pictures of different stages of both of the collapse of the towers.
It's so moving and, again, so powerful. And you gave me the stat earlier this morning that continues to really put in perspective just how many people, how many lives were lost that day. Tell our viewers comparison between how many firefighters were lost that day versus how many firefighters in Philadelphia have been lost in the city's history.
So since the organization of the Philadelphia Fire Department's paid department, we've had 305 men and women that have died in line of duty to today. The FDNY lost 343 firemen at one time, at one significant event. So that just impacts the continued stress and high level that first responders across the nation work on every day or across the world and doing their jobs.
Absolutely right. And that brings us to this morning's ceremony. You guys are going to be honoring those lives that were lost. Tell me about what people can expect, because this is open to the public if they want to attend. What time does it start, and what's going to be happening this morning?
So this is an annual event that we do every year by the Philadelphia Police, Fire Department, the prisons, the color guards will assemble out front with the Philadelphia pipes and drums, and we will proceed from here, the Fireman's Hall Museum, around to the Betsy Ross House to do a commemorative of those members that died on that significant day.
Thank you so much for being with us this morning. And that ceremony will start exactly at 9:59. That is when the second tower officially went down on September 11th, 2001. Again, all are invited to attend. If you want to pay your respects in person, come out to Old City. And that's really what today is all about, remembering the lives lost and the heroes that gave their lives to try and save others. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, a day we'll never forget, indeed. Ross DeMattei, thank you for that.